Hello everyone. So today we will be creating a weather app, a basic and simple weather app using the Swift UI. And what we will be doing is, so basically I have created a input field and a button. So basically whenever you enter a city name, so it will fetch the weather of that particular city and will show it as a response here. Okay, so let's say I type here New Delhi. Okay, so it will fetch the response for New Delhi. So currently it is 27 degree and the condition is clear sky. Okay, and let's say Gurgaon. I can basically get the data from any of the cities, right? And let's say Ranchi, let's say Ahmedabad. So basically that is what we will be building here. So without wasting any time, let's dive into the implementation. So I think now we can start this. So first let me create a project. So when you create a new project, you have to name your project. Let's say I am naming it weather, and the interface you have to select Swift UI and storage. As of now we don't need any storage, but it will be in our future scope that we can use Swift data or core data for storing the data. Okay, so next let me create it in the desktop. Okay, and as you can see, let me make it full screen. Okay, initially when you create the project, it will take some time to load the simulator. Okay, in the meantime I think currently we don't need these test files, so we will remove the references also. Okay, and in the content view, let's see what happened. Okay, so yeah, it got loaded. So first let let's create the basic UI, right? And then we can go ahead in the further implementation. So what I can do here is, firstly I want a header, right? So let's name it weather app. Okay, and I want it to be capitalized and the font should be large title, dot large title, and font weight to be bold. Okay, and let for now let's remove the padding. Let's see. Okay, and what do we want else? We want input, right? So for text field we want a text field, and so text field has, we want a title key and a binding key, right? So through which we can bind the text. So we will use this one, and let's say we name it search city, right? And for binding, let's we use a city variable, right? Okay, so we have to create the variable, right? At sorry sorry at state private var city, and let's initialize it to empty string. Okay, now it should not throw error. And we also want to have a button, right? And the button should let's say so go. Okay, and inside this we can do some task. Okay. Okay, so now it doesn't look pretty good, right? So what should we do? First of all, this this should come under H stack, right? This whole body should come under H stack. So if we right click on it, okay, there is nothing. Okay, let me create it manually. H stack. Okay, all right, and now we want padding for it. Let's say padding looks good. Let's provide 20. Yep, now that looks good. And text field, I want to add some style also to text field. Let's say text field style to be rounded border, right? And okay, so now I can do it, right? Okay, I can't type it, I don't know why. Okay, now it's working. New Delhi. And I think I want to off the auto capitalization, autocorrect disabled. Okay, so now it will not throw any. Come on. Okay. Okay, so now auto correction is disabled, so it will not suggest me auto corrections. Okay, so now as you can see, it is in the middle, right? So we can provide a spacer. Okay, so now it looks pretty good. Search city, instead of that I can there search city name, and it should be enter, I guess, enter city name. Okay, and let's do one thing. Let's create another state, private var cities. So I'm creating just for now. We will change this after we do the complete implementation. Let's say I first create an array of cities, and let's say the initially it is New Delhi, right? Okay, so what I can do is, first let's remove this spacer. I can create a list. Okay, and in that list I will run a for each loop for each cities, and currently we don't need any ID, so I think we can go ahead with ID dot I think I don't need ID, guys. Let's see, for city in, and here let's say I define what happened. Cannot convert value of type string to expected argument range int generate. Okay, it opened ChatGPT. No, I don't want that. Okay, we'll see that in later. For each cities. Oh, come on, man. Okay, it generated anyway. Okay, no, so I had to add the ID, right? Okay, so when I enter, let's say Patna, so nothing is happening, right? Okay, so I want something. First of all, I want to create a util function, right? So when I enter a city and click and go, it should add to the list, right? So let's create that first. Let's create a function, private function get to weather data. So I'm naming it that way only because when we click on go, then it will get the data for the for that city and it will add it to the list, right? So and the request will be async and it will throw error, so we will name it that. It will not return anything. Okay, so here what we can do cities dot append city, right? And I can set city equals to, oh, let's see first this behavior, right? Okay, let's see, I add Patna and click on go. Okay, sorry, I have to call it here, right? Get try await. We have to try await because we have added this conditions, right? Async throws. Okay, for now let's remove it. Okay, we will see it later how that works. Get weather data, fine. What happened? Okay, fine. Let's say I add Gurgaon, and yep, now it's working, but it's not getting cleared. So for that, we want to add this, right? So now when I enter Gurgaon, click on go, it get added, right? Fine, and it gets cleared. Okay, so one more thing, and let's create the. So this list is not as we have seen, right? So we have to add some styles to it. So for styling, what we can do is, first of all, I can create a let's say I create a an array of colors, right? So what I can do is, let's say let color palette. Okay, let color palette is of type color, and I defined the strings. Okay, so I will go ahead with it and I will create some extra also. Let's say pink, and green is there or not? Green is there, blue is there, okay. Let's say indigo, and let's say purple is there or not? No, purple is not there. So these many colors we want, okay. And so we are initially we are designing the basic UI, right? And then we will go into the further implementation. Okay, so just bear with me. And what we can do here is, we want a text. We also want a text. For now I am hard coding it. Let's say temperature is 27. This is temperature, and another text we want, which is the how the weather is like, right? So let's say I name let's say it's clear. Description. Okay, and for each city in name. Okay, so we have to do one thing, right? You can see that these are getting in three different rows, right? And it is happening because um, by default it is returning only when we run for each, it is returning only the first statement. And so basically each for each is treated as each text is treated as a different what you say, different item, right? So firstly we have to wrap it under h stack. Okay, so command x, command v, right? So now it looks pretty similar, right? I mean it's on the same row. Okay, so what we can do now, and now I want some space between city and this. Okay, now it looks good. And one more thing, one minor tweaking, we will add it in the v stack. Okay, now it looks good. Okay, and for that, for each row we will add the background color, list row background. And we can do something like we can do basically we can loop through these many colors and then repeat it, right? That seems to be good choice. So I can do index percent color palette dot count. Okay, I hope you can understand this logic if you are into the programming, right? Opacity, let's not provide the opacity and see how it looks. What happened? What happened, man? Okay, got it. Why is it throwing me error, man? Okay, let's see. Index and color palette is right, color palette dot count is right. Why is it showing me error? Okay, let's provide opacity, man. Let's say 0.4. Still throwing me error. Okay, let's start from start. Dot list row background. Color palette, let's say 0. Where is error? Okay, that's working fine, right? So I can do is index percent color palette dot count. This should not show me error, right? Why is it showing me error? Okay, there is no index, sorry. And since we have index now, okay, I have to do this, and I have to provide the element, I guess. Okay, now it's sorted, and the first color is applied, red. I think it is pretty dark, so I have to provide the opacity anyway. Let's say 0.1. How it looks? No, 0.1 is too bad. 0.4. Yep, that looks good. That is pretty good. Let's say New Delhi. Let's say Mumbai. Oops. let's say Mumbai, and let's say Gurgaon, and let's say what we have, Kerala. No, Kerala is not a city, sorry. We have Bangalore. Okay, so I think our UI is ready. Basically, this is how our UI would look like. Now we will go through the further implementation, right? So first, let's do one thing. Let's first create our endpoint. So I will create a new folder. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yes, new folder, and let's name it clients. Okay, and let's create another folder. Let's call it models. Okay, I think that will do, that will suffice. And before diving any further, let's do one thing. So I have first of all, you have to go to the openweathermap.org. Okay, okay. So basically you have to create your account here, so that you can have the API key, and using that API key then we can call our weather map API, right? So basically just go ahead to this website, and then click on sign in, and then create your account, and then it will show your it will create your API key, and you can find it in your profile section. Okay, you can find various videos there, so I'm not diving any further into that. But one thing I want to tell here, how are you going to get the data, right? So basically you don't have to pay anything. There is a free tier account, and when you do that, there will be free account already. Okay, so we will be using a free account anyway for our demo app. And there are multiple APIs, right? Current weather data. Okay, so this is the weather API that we will be using, right? Basically in this API you have to provide latitude and longitude along with your API key, right? So the API key is sorted, but how do we get the latitude and longitude of the city, right? And to handle that case, there is another geocoding API, right? So when we open this API, so basically when you provide city in this API, it will provide you the uh, various parameters like latitude, longitude. Okay, so these are the parameters provided by this geocoding API: latitude, longitude, country, state, and local name found of it. So various things are there. So basically we are only interested in latitude and longitude, right? So we will be using these two APIs. First we will be calling this geocoding API, where we will be passing our city, which will return our lat and long, and using that lat and long we will pass it through this to this API, and then we will be getting our weather data. Okay, so how the final weather data looks, so it looks similar to this one. Okay, so our final weather data looks something like this. We have an object, and in that object there is a main key value pair. So in the main we have the temperature. Okay, so currently I think it is in Kelvin. Okay, so basically you can pass the metric in which you want the temperature. Like if you pass unit equal to metric, then it will provide you data in Celsius, I guess. Okay, and by default, so we will see that. And then there is another parameter, that weather. Okay, so in weather is an array, and in that array we have an object where there is a description of how the weather is, what is the description of the weather. Okay, so basically I think we will be using only this temperature, temp, and this description for showing the data for now. And you can use as many things as you want, but for this purpose, for this app, we will be using only minimal things. Okay, and regarding the geocoding API, how there is an example response here also. So okay, we will copy it and duplicate it, and let's process. Okay, all right. Okay, we can see it here only, right? So basically it has, as we can see, there is a name, there is a local name, and there is a lat, there is a long, there is a country, and there is a state, right? So this is our normal geocoding API response. Okay, so I hope so. Please quickly pause the video and first create your OpenWeatherMap account. Okay, then you can continue ahead in this course. Okay, so go ahead and then I will continue further. Okay, all right. So I will create a new file and let's name it. API endpoint. You have named it API endpoint. Okay, so firstly I will create the enum. Okay, enum API endpoint, and I will create a static let URL base URL string, and I think it should be only openweathermap.org. Okay, so you don't need to worry about APIs. I am implementing the APIs here as well, so you can see it from here also. And case, okay, so there will be two cases. One, we will get the city from location, and then we will get the weather from the location. Okay, it will be two-step process. So we will create two cases here, because we are using two APIs here. So firstly we will do coordinate by location, and here we will be passing our city, so we will use it string, and there we'll be using weather by location, right? So it will be weather by location, so we will be passing lat long, so it will be a double. Okay, so now we can define our path, private var path. It will be a string computer, it will be a computer property which will create the path for these two different cases. Okay, so we will be switching over the self, and our first case will be dot coordinate by location, and here we will pass the city. Okay, and since it is a city, as you can see, coordinate by location, where is the coordinate by location? This geo 1.0 and direct q equals to up to here, right? So we will do it this like this, and here it is saying we have to pass the city, q equal to city. Okay, so what we can do it, we can pass the city, and then what else, is there anything else? I think app id is there, and app id equals to okay, so app id, we have to create our app id. So I will create another folder, we will call it utils, and new file from template, this will be a Swift file, yes, and the name, let's say constants. Okay, and what I can do here is I will create a struct constants struct keys, and I will use the structlet weather API key equals to, so I will not be showing my API key, guys. So since you have, I assume that you have created your API key, so I expect you to use that one. Okay, okay, so now as we have created our API key in the, as we have defined our API key in the constants file, now we can implement it here, right? Use it here, sorry. So it will be constants dot keys dot weather API key, right? And another case will be there, another case is dot weather by location, let lan, let lat, let long. Okay, and what we will return here, we will return, what is the API key again? Okay, so we have to just copy it, right? We have to just copy this one. Okay, sorry, we have to copy just this one, data lat equals to lat, what else, and long equals to long, API key equals to API key. Okay, we will long equals to, I think we should name it long, long, and API key equals to API key equals to constants dot keys dot weather API key, right? And one more thing, we have to pass unit equals to metric if you want our result to be in Celsius, right? So what we can do is that units equals to metric. All right, now I think everything is sorted. One more thing we have to define here, we have to define our URL, static func endpoint, so final URL, right, based on our conditions, endpoint URL, and we will be passing endpoint which will be of type endpoint, right, and it will return a URL. All right, so let endpoint path will be endpoint dot path, right, and we have to just return URL string, and sorry, URL string will be base URL where is this base URL string, and then plus the endpoint path, right? Okay, so now I think what is must be unwrapped. Okay, so we can force unwrap it, since we know that it will be it will not be undefined, right? It will not be nil, sorry. So we can force unwrap it. And okay, so now our URL endpoint is ready. We have to define our clients. We have to define our base classes. Okay, so first we will create our geocoding class, new file from template, Swift file, geocoding service, create. Okay, so what we can do here is we have to do geocoding service, right? And we can define a function coordinate by city, right? City name, let's say, and we pass here the city name. City name would be a string, and it can throw, and it will be an async function. So, and what will return? It will return a location. Okay, and right, so we have not defined location, I guess, so we have to define our location model as well. So let's create a new file from template, location. So I will create a struct location. Location should be decodable, since we are using API, since it will be returning from the API response, right? So we have to decode it. And let what it will return. So it will return a string, it will return a lat, it should be a double, it should return a long, which also should be a double. Okay, so I think this will not show any error. Okay, so now we can go ahead. What we can do is we can directly call the API. Let data, what we can do is try, await, and URL. We don't need to use URL request, I guess. We can use URL session dot shared dot data, and we can use from, right? So from uses the URL. Okay, so from, I guess, and then API endpoint dot endpoint URL, and endpoint URL, as you can guess, we have to pass it dot coordinate by location, and in the location we have to pass the city name. Okay, and now we have to just store it in the variable, so it will return a data and a response. It will return a data, and then it will return a response. Okay, missing return. Okay, that will be solved, right? So we will first unwrap it. Guardlet HTTP response equals to response as HTTP URL response, and the status should be 200, right? Else we have to throw any error. Let's say network error. And one more thing, we can define in models as well. We can define errors file also. New file from template, Swift file. Let's create a file called network errors. Okay, so what I can do here is we can create a enum network errors, and we can define the bad request, sorry, case bad request, and then we can use it network errors dot bad request. And now we can use the date, we can get the location. Let locations equals to try, and we have to decode the response, right? So we can use decode, and we will be decoding our location dot self from the data. So you can see that location is an array, so we have to use that as well, because you can see here that the location returned by the geocoding API, the response returned by the geocoding API is an array of objects. Where is that example response? Example API response. Yep, yeah, it is. It is an array of objects, right? So we will be using our first element from that array. Does not conform to error, so let's fix this. Does not conform to error, so make it conformable. Alright, now I don't think it will throw any error. Okay, so now what I can do is I can return locations dot, so in the array we have a property, right, dot first, so we will return the first element from the location. Okay, I think our this one is ready, right? Let's test it. Let's test it, man. Okay, so now I think I can get, okay, I can call it in get weather data, right? So let me define it also. Let geocoding service equals to, sorry man, geocoding service equals to geocoding service. And what we can do is we can do guard let location equals to, no, we don't need to do guardlet. I think as of now I can simply do let location equals to try await can throw error, right? So we have to do it like this, try await, and what we can do here is geocoding service dot coordinate by city name, and we will pass the city name as this variable, right, city. All right, and now what I can do is I can print the location. Okay, so I can print the location. It is showing that async. Okay, so async I have to make it async, and it can throw error, so async throws. Okay, now I have to await it, and we have to also try await. Okay, so what is the error, man? Provide a default value, provide a default value. Default value should be empty string, I guess. I think that resolved my issue. And okay, so let's type, let's say let's type Mumbai. Okay, so now, so as you can see, I am getting the correct location when I type Mumbai, I'm getting their name, its latitude and its longitude, right? So I think this one is working completely fine. Okay, and I'm not adding much error handling here because it is a demo app and you can create your own error handling as yourself. Okay, so continuing further, now since we have received our location, now we have to call this weather API, right? And pass that lat long, and then we can get the actual weather data, right? So let's create another service and I will name it weather service. And it is a weather service, so I will define it here. Struct weather service, and I will create a function. Let's name it fetch weather. Fetch weather will be, and I will be receiving location parameter. Location will be of type location. It will be async and it can throws, and our response should be like a weather data. Oh man, I have to define weather data as well. Okay, so let's create another model here, and I will name it next. Let's name it weather. Okay, so what I can do is I can create a struct weather data, and in the weather data what I want temperature and I want condition. That should do it, right? Yep, that should do it. And we have to just, I think, copy paste as well here. Okay, so let's define it here also. Let's define let endpoint to be API endpoint dot weather by location, and here we will be passing, what do we pass? We have to pass location dot lat, and here you have to pass location dot long. Okay, so endpoint is ready. Let URL equals to API endpoint dot base URL string. Sorry, we can get it from endpoint URL, right? And we can just pass the endpoint. Okay, URL is also ready. Now let's get the data. Let data comma response equals to try await. Same thing that we have done in this geocoding service dot data, and we will be using from also from the URL, right? Now let's unwrap the response. Var let response. Oh man, I have to type as HTTP URL response. Okay, and HTTP response. Okay, response equals to response. Let's HTTP response, right? HTTP response, and HTTP response dot status code should be 200, or else we just have to throw network error dot bad request, right? And now we have to decode it. Let weather data equals to try JSON decoder dot decode weather data dot self, right? And requires weather data conform to decodable. Weather data should be decodable, right? So we have to, okay. And what do we want? We want temperature, weather data. No, it's not be weather data, it should be weather response, I guess. Weather response. Why do we do it in weather response? Because I will be extracting further information from this weather response. I will be passing it as a weather data from this function. So first I will extract the temperature dot temperature. No, dot this one, weather response dot main dot temperature. You can see here in this, in the response we have, so basically in this we have to pass weather response dot main dot temp to get the temperature, and weather response dot weather 0 dot main dot description to get the current condition. Okay, so what is it throwing? So basically weather response is of type weather, okay, weather data, it should be weather response, right? We are getting weather response, so I have to define the response here as well. Weather response, struct weather response, it should be decodable. What do we have here? So basically we have, okay, so basically we have main and temp, right? So I can do is let main should be let's for now name it temp, okay, and we have a weather is an array, let's say it is an array of weather. Okay, so now we have to define temp, struct temp, it is also decodable. Okay, and temp, we are only interested currently in temp. Okay, so if you like you can run multiple parameters, but currently I am only interested in temp, so I will do let temp is of double. Okay, so my temp is defined, weather is an array, and in that weather I am only interested in description. Okay, so I will do that, struct weather decodable, and let description is string. I think now it's not throw error. Weather service working fine, right? We are not returning, okay. And I want description also. Description is weather response dot weather, right? Dot first dot description, and we can define it like this because it can throw error. Okay, and we will return weather data. So we will return the weather data, temperature will be temp, and condition will be description. You can find, right? Yep, I think there is no error at this point. Okay, so let's go to our content view and see how it works. Okay, so here we have got our location. Okay, Okay, and we have printing our location. So now it is time that we also get our weather data. Let weather data equals to, I have to try await, and I can directly call the service also, but let's do it directly, man. Fetch weather. Otherwise you can define it like this also, but currently I don't think our use case is that much complex, so I can directly call it, and I just have to pass my location. Okay, and okay, so it is basically telling me that location is an optional, right? But in the fetch weather we are accepting location, we are not accepting the optional parameter. Okay, so I think what we can do here is I can unwrap it. And throw, what I can do is I will return error. Okay, I don't want to throw any error. Okay, so let's comment it out first. And what is the error? Was never used. Okay, so that is not an error, right? I will also try to unwrap it so that it will not throw an error in the future, else return, right? Okay, so that should do it. So now let's try to print what we are getting here. Let's print our weather data. Okay, let's print our weather data. The weather data of which city should I go now? Let's say Ranchi. If I go to Ranchi, I am getting temperature 27.56 and condition is light rain. Okay, so I think it is working properly. So now I think we can go ahead. I can minimize this. I can, let's say, zoom it a little bit. Okay, so I think now we are good to go. Now we can remove this static data and completely use our dynamic data. Okay, so what we have to do, so one thing, I want city here and temperature here and the condition here, right? But currently what is happening here is the city is defined in this array, right? And we are in the weather data, we are only getting two things, temperature and condition. So I think we can create a struct here which will be our weather summary. Let's create another struct. Ideally it should be created in the, where is it, and new UI is completely different. iOS 26 is completely okay. I can create a city weather summary. I think here I can create a struct weather summary, right? And weather summary, since we are using a list, it should be hashable. And let's define var. Okay, so I want a city name. Okay, and I also want temperature and I also want condition. Okay, so let's go to our content view and come on, man. Okay, sorry, come on. I think I should pin this so that it not get minimized or something like that. Okay, so instead of using this, I think we can use now, what was the name of the model, man? City weather summary, right? Let's name it city weather summary and go to content view. City weather summary, right? Currently it should be empty, we can't append the city. Okay, so what we can append is, we can append a city weather summary. City name should be, I think, city. Temperature should be weather data dot temperature, yes, and condition should be weather data dot condition. Okay, I think that should solve the issue, and here I think we have to do city dot city name. What is the issue? I think it should be city, right? Yep. Okay, so now I think it should all, to not create a confusion, let's name it city, let's name it entered city name. Okay, so entered city name we will be using here, city name equal to entered city name. Okay, and city name, and we have to define it here also, entered city name. Any other error? Okay, entered city name. Okay, fine, looking good. Let's reload it. Okay, so no error is there, guys. Let's do it. Let's do Mumbai, and yes, we are getting our data, right? Okay, sorry, I am not okay, I have to replace it, right? Okay, so what I want first of all I have to use a string because it is a double, right? So city dot temperature, and another thing would be city dot description, right? Sorry, city dot condition. Okay, city dot condition. Now I think it should work probably. So let's go with but now, and it works. And as you can see here, there are two things that I can see currently. This floating point number is extending beyond the basically it is going to 6 digit or something like that. So first thing I want to round it to the nearest, not to the nearest, I want to round it to the low base integer. So basically if it is 31 point something, then it will be showing as 31, right? I want that functionality. And one more thing, that this text is not capitalized, the first letters are not capitalized, so it's not looking very good. So here what we can do is, I can wrap it in the integer, the temperature should, I can wrap this in the integer. I can do is, I will do this, I will wrap it in integer, so it will only show the integer part. And another thing I can do is, I can do capitalized. So now if I go here and let's say I type Jaipur. Okay, so now it looks good. One more thing, that currently if you see this V stack, this is the V stack, right? Currently this v stack is basically centered aligned, so basically text is centered aligned. We can do it, what we can do is we can do it trailing, so it will go to the right side. So what I can do here is I will do the alignment to dot trailing. Okay, so now it will go to the right. Jaipur, okay. Jaipur, okay, and let's say Ranchi, okay, and what about New Delhi, okay, and how many cities? There are many cities. Let's say Chennai, okay, and okay. So I think it's working fine, right? So this is our basically the simplest weather app that you can create using the Swift UI, and it looks pretty good, right? And there will be a future, there can be a future scope in this. So basically, let me do run it in a simulator, right? And then I can show you properly what I am trying to say. Okay, so as you can see, it is launching. Okay, so it is launched. Okay, so when I enter, let's say New Delhi, and I go, and let's say another city is Gurgaon, or let's say Gurugram for the newer generations. Gurugram, okay. So let's say if I go to device app switcher and I kill the app, our whole data is lost, right? So basically I've added I added two cities, but currently I have no city, right? So basically is happening, what is happening here is when there is a state variable, so it is initializing on each launch. So what will be the future scope in this is that we can use something like Swift data or core data, so that we can create a persistent data. Okay, so I think for now it's pretty good, and you can basically, if you only want to get the city, the weather of the city, you can do it this way. Okay, so I think that's it from my side, and let's see if we can meet in the next video. Okay, thank you.